I hope everybody's had a restful weekend. We're going to take a look at this upcoming week by reviewing some of the activity that we just saw where we came out of. And so we had one-way expansion across the board, profile, and so forth. And as we look here at ES, essentially got this build and this distribution up here, very thin area of acceleration below us, and this build down here. The inside is the previous week's volume profile. The outside is the 4-week rolling. And so big takeaways, things I'm going to be looking at this week. Start with right here. Nice. 60-40 range right there. So as long as we're above the 60-40 range, I'm going to be seeking rebid opportunity test up and into first target 1A up here at 62.81s or in that direction until we see an exhaustive look or we come back into previous distribution that can lead to some balance. Whenever we do have expansion like this, I'm leaning more towards balance than further expansion, but that's why I'm looking at this up here and don't want to fight it as long as we're driving up and out of that zone. But below this 60-40, I'm going to be looking at the 59.72s to begin with, right in here. Because in this build, ultimately, we could spend some time and fill it out. And what that would look like is creating a nice high volume node in this area. But to begin with, we've got two different distributions through here. And so I'm going to look at this 72 and get that to line up with 72. Almost close enough there. But 72s right here around this node. Pull back into here. There, I want to gauge exhaustion or continuation. So on the intraday session, if we push down in there, have an exhaustive node or nice taper into that, we come back above 72. So I want to rebid that to bring it back across and fill out some volume into this mix. However, if we cannot sustain above 72s, then I want to see this push further, targeting down the weekly pivot, which is in the 59.20s. Okay. And start to fill out this node in a more completed fashion. So the intraday aspect is going to provide plenty of scalps and setups and so forth, but the overall from the big picture, we're maintaining underneath the 60-40s. I want to work into that zone, the 72s, to be able to gauge continuation or exhaustion. So below those 72s, that gives up. I want to gravitate and act like magnet into pivot down here, which is also on the high volume edge of the 4-week rolling, where we have this large high volume node. At which point I want to treat that with respect. I would expect it to be responsive through this mix here, spend some time filling out and balancing into this area. But if we do wind up slicing that and pushing, then between 59.20 and 5900, that area on the high volume edge here from last week, I want to give it some time to simmer a little bit to see direction out of that. And if we wind up spending time below the 5900s, I want to lean against that structure to come into the 58.33 range down here to this untested weekly pivot. With NQ here, pretty similar, not a finished high to this volume profile on the week to date or last week's volume profile. The outside is 4-week rolling, and then through here we have this area of acceleration, a lot of thin volume, but we have a really nice node up here. And so as long as we're above the 21.265 range, these highs here, then same thing. I don't want to fight that. I want to be able to get on board and rebid this and work our way up into the direction of the first target, which is 22.237s. But if we're maintaining below this, the first thing I want to pay attention to is the 21,136s right here. If we're able to slice, stay below, and start building volume here, Then I want to work in towards the weekly pivot down here at 20,778, where I want to gauge for exhaustion or continuation. We do find ourselves spending too much time underneath the weekly pivot, which is on the high volume edge, 4-week rolling, then it opens up our ability to step into this distribution through here. But primarily below the weekly pivot, I want to gravitate towards this untested weekly pivot right here at the 20,488 into this thin volume area, and then do the same thing, gauge, exhaust, and continuation. So putting my focus on the fact that we've had this expansion and there's no need to fight it if we're bidding and coming up above the structure here. But if we cannot find interest there, or if we look above, come back in, say we complete that profile, come back in to the prior distribution, and we start lingering below this, below these highs on ES or NQ, then I want to view that as let's test some prior structure. Doesn't mean we have to go to zero, but along the way, a couple reference points from the notes there where I'm going to be gauging activity in order to potentially change hands on the overall big picture. So let's get this week started off on the right foot, and we'll be on in the mornings for morning prep all week here in OFL. And if anybody needs anything, please reach out.